Welcome back to Hospitality Reinvented. This is episode 26 with your host, Doug Radkey, the founder and principal consultant at KRG Hospitality. Today, we're talking about something that maybe will push a few different buttons. And honestly, I kind of hope that it does, because this episode is about a dangerous truth in hospitality that too many operators are addicted to chaos. Some even seem to thrive in it all. Some believe that the fire and the noise and the constant movement is what makes them, good. But chaos does not make you a leader. Chaos does not make you a visionary. And chaos does not build a legacy business. What chaos does is that it destroys the clarity and it cripples culture and it quietly, erodes the foundation of your business until one day it all just collapses around you. Today, I want to talk about that addiction to chaos and why does it happen? What it communicates to your team and the shift that separates operators, who burn out from operators who build sustainable and, scalable businesses. This is going to be about identity and leadership in the future of your business. So let's start with some honesty here first. For many people, again, chaos, that feels good. Chaos feels powerful. Chaos feels productive. And chaos feels necessary. And many operators, especially entrepreneurs in this industry, have tied their identity to that, because chaos for a lot of people gives you that adrenaline and it gives you a sense of urgency and significance and the illusion of control and the illusion of productivity. Chaos maybe makes you feel important. It makes you feel needed and relevant and essential. When everything is on fire, you get to be the hero, right? You get to swoop in, you get to solve it or save it and show your value. But that is not leadership. What that is dependency. A chaotic operation, depends entirely on you and your presence and your energy and your decision making. And the day that you stop showing up, well, guess what? Your business is going to stop too. Now, that is not a business. Like I said on a previous episode, that is a job with worse hours and higher stakes. So where does this addiction to chaos, where does it all come from? Now, when you peel it all back, chaos, addiction usually comes from three different places. It's maybe how you started. The early days of any opening, again, they can be chaotic. You're building something from nothing. You are solving problems every hour and you're often moving, 100 miles an hour. The problem is some operators never grow out of that phase. They think the chaos is normal, and worse, they think that it is required. It becomes their operating, identity. The other place that it all can come from is the lack of systems. No systems, well, guess what? Chaos is going to become your excuse, because if everything is on fire, you don't have to admit, what's actually missing, like your standards and your structure and your delegation and your training and your accountability and your documentation. Chaos becomes the blanket that ends up just kind of covering all of the different gaps. Now, the third place that it can really come from is the internal void. This is that maybe uncomfortable one. Some operators, they need chaos to feel alive. Again, when things are calm, they feel really irrelevant. When things run smoothly, they feel unnecessary. They end up sabotaging progress without even realizing it. They make last minute, changes. They micromanage. They start to overstep. They override some of the systems they do have. They jump in when no one even asked them to jump in, because chaos makes them feel useful. But here's the truth. If chaos gives you purpose, your business will never, ever scale. And one thing to remember about chaos is that chaos, not just something that is not something that you experience. It's something that you communicate. When your operation lives in chaos, you are telling your team that, that you don't trust systems, that you don't trust them, and everything, is urgent, and everything is just last minute around here, and everything, just depends on me. That, maybe you don't even need a plan here. We just react to things, and that maybe consistency is optional here, and that burnout here is normal. That's the culture message that you are sending. And again, culture is not what you put just up on the wall. It is what you tolerate. It is what you model and it is what you repeat. If your team sees you thriving in this chaos, they will mirror it and they will fear calm periods. They will avoid accountability and they will stay in survival mode. Your team will stop thinking long term. They will burn out and they will end up leaving. Why? Because chaos kills confidence, and a team without confidence cannot deliver the level of hospitality that is needed today to win. Now, let's talk some numbers here as well. Chaos is not just, emotionally costly, it is financially devastating as well. Every single chaotic minute costs you waste and inefficiencies and overtime and staff turnover and guest mistakes. It costs you, guest complaints and vendor misalignments and delayed projects. It costs slower onboarding, incomplete trainings and really lost opportunities. And yet chaos is rarely measured, it's rarely audited, and it is rarely analyzed. But I can guarantee you this, that your P&L knows when you run a chaotic operation. Your margins know, your payroll knows, and your guest frequency, it knows. Chaos is the most expensive operating model in hospitality. And if you want to eradicate chaos, you need to understand this truth, that chaos collapses under volume. Systems thrive under volume. You cannot scale inconsistency and you cannot grow a brand built in survival mode. The difference between, small operators and large brands is not talent. It is not money. And it is not creativity. It's the systems. It's the clarity and it's the documentation. Systems, they create repeatable results, where chaos, it might just create some random ones. And random results do not build multi-unit brands. What they do is they build stress. Let's be honest, most chaotic environments are stressful, and most end up just blaming their own team. I hear this, all the time. Maybe you do as well. My staff, they just don't care, or they don't listen, or they don't follow instructions. They're not committed, to my restaurant or my bar or my hotel. But here is the hard truth. Chaos starts at the top. Staff behave however the leadership allows them to behave. They follow the structure that leadership creates. They model the energy that leadership brings. If leaders are unpredictable, staff feel unsafe. If leaders are inconsistent, staff, stop trying. And if leaders tolerate chaos, staff will expect chaos. Your operation is, again, a mirror. You need to look into it first and see the reflection. Now, let me give you a real example that maybe you can relate to. Two clients around the same time, similar concept styles, similar, kind of guest demographics that they're targeting, similar competitive pressures that they're facing, but two very different outcomes. The first, operator number one really thrives again in that chaos. He loves being busy. He loves always being in the weeds. He loves being the first one in and the last one out. He solves everything personally. He's made every single decision and he's proud of the chaos. His philosophy was really, if I'm not involved in everything, it's all going to just fall apart. Well, guess what? It ended up falling apart. Staff turnover skyrocketed and the guest experience ended up fluctuating. His costs just completely started to grow out of control. The margin slipped and he was exhausted. Now, operator number two, she was obsessed with clarity. She invested time up front. She built those playbooks. She held daily meetings. She created operational flow. She empowered her leadership team. She communicated relentlessly and she wasn't addicted to chaos. She was addicted to clarity. Now, her P&L, super strong with profits, in that 17, 18%. They were predictable and her business was scalable. Her team, they were loyal and they were confident and they were accountable. And her overall business opened, a second location. I think it was, 18 months later. Similar business models, but different outcomes and different identities. One operator lived in chaos and one operator built clarity. Now, this should all be obvious now. The future of hospitality belongs to the operators who intentionally eliminate chaos. Why? Because the industry is not going to get easier. Costs are going to continue to rise. Labor is going to shift. Technology will evolve. Guest expectations will increase and competition will tighten. You cannot survive the future with yesterday's chaotic habits. Okay, you need systems and leadership and training and structure and anticipation and data and rhythm and overall flow, because clarity is not a luxury. It is the only sustainable operating model that we have left. This is where the real transformation starts to happen. You don't eliminate just chaos with just checklists. You eliminate chaos with identity, by deciding that chaos is not going to be your brand. It is not your culture. It is not your standard, and it is not going to be your story. You turn chaos into clarity by changing how you lead, not just how you operate. Clarity is predictable. It's intentional. It's scalable. It's trustworthy. It's communicative, and it's sustainable. Chaos is the complete opposite of that. And your team can feel that difference. Your guests can feel that difference. And your P&L will feel that difference. So as I wrap up here, let me leave you with this. Chaos, it might feel comfortable. It might maybe feel familiar, and it might feel productive, but it will not lead you where you want to go. But clarity will. Systems will. Leadership will. And intention will. Your business deserves clarity. Your team deserves clarity. And most importantly, you deserve clarity. So the real question, the one that I want to, leave you with to reflect on here with this episode is simple. Are you addicted to chaos, or are you committed to clarity? Because the operators who choose clarity today, they are the ones who will dominate the next 3 to 5 plus years. Thank you for listening to Hospitality Reinvented. Until next time, stay bold, stay strategic, and let's keep reinventing hospitality together.